Hello and welcome to another Starcraft 2 commentary video with Gomjabar on Battle.net and Kengo on YouTube. And I'm taking a break from the endless Protoss vs. Terran and occasional Protoss vs. Protoss videos to bring you Protoss vs. Zerg. And this is a match on TalDarim Altar, which is a pretty awesome map. I really like it. It's a really hard map to play. It's very different from a normal style, but it's very good. And my opponent is going to be PTZR Shuffle, who is a Diamond Zerg. Now, a lot of Protoss will take this map and forge expand right by putting a forge and gateway wall in up here and try to get a faster nexus. I think that that's an excellent, strong, safe build that you can do on this map, but I don't really know how to do it very well. I can get as far as the forge and the nexus and the gateway and the cannon and the cyber core, and then after that I sort of don't know what to do. So instead of that, I'm just going to do a sentry expand, totally normal, most standard thing in the world, which I think is still a perfectly fine build. Now, most Zergs, I think, will try and go for hatch first in this map, because, I mean, the rush distances are huge, and you really can't blame the Zerg, and I pylon scouted and still couldn't block the hatch first, so, you know, it's great to do. Meanwhile, I am forgetting a probe, but otherwise getting lots of stuff out there. And the Zergy is getting his extractor and spawning pool. He does want that Zergling speed against Protoss, totally. I think this is a tight wall in with the Zealot, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't really come up in this game. Anywho. I should be taking my second gas right now. That's why I haven't yet. I want to make another pylon at 22. I do need my second gas. Yeah. I think the pylon can go down at 24, actually. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I'm in here checking out what the Zerg's doing. I've been very, very leery of early roach warrens, so I'm kind of watching for that. Very annoying, especially because this map, there's no ramp right here, and there's no ramp right here either, so it's actually, roach all-ins are kind of tough, but I am keeping this alive for a very long time. Zerg has not made any Zerglings yet, so I'm actually scouting quite a bit. And Zerg has not pulled guys off the gas for the Zergling speed, which is a little odd, and I don't know how much gas Zerg actually has when I'm scouting him, because, you know, I can only see this. I don't see what his supply and resources are in the game. Finally, he does make 2 Zerglings, and he's up to a good amount of gas. Zergling speed is a bit late for our Zerg player, so I can see his opening's a little rough, but it's not going to be a big deal, you know. I don't know if he's even seen me yet. He hasn't. Yeah. A bit odd, and my probe gets a little trapped. Unfortunate. I did like a little mineral walk here, but then I actually just shift-clicked over here, and he actually gathered minerals, which is kind of bad. So he's going to be scouting with his Zerglings, and, you know, obviously I could have just gone Nexus first and been totally safe up to this point, but I don't think that your economy is that bad if you're doing a sentry fast expand either, so, and I'm doing like the fastest one possible, where you move out with the Zealot in 2 sentries. So I should be putting my Nexus down right about now. Yep, there we go. And some more sentries coming out. So, yeah, in case you're not familiar with this build, which is the most standard PvZ build, it is making 3 gateways. After your first zealot, you just make sentries, and you expand when you have about, I don't know, 4 of them, something like that. Depends how much pressure you're under. And you just use the sentries to keep you alive. Some Zerglings are going to come in, but they're not going to do much. And yeah, my opponent's getting Roach and Burrow. Pretty good. It's very safe against a 6-gate kind of thing. So yeah, and because I've been chrono boosting probes non-stop, that's all my chrono boost has gone towards, even with the worker count of the Zerg. Next, after I do my expansion, I'm going to get this Forge, and I'm going to get Hallucinate. That way I can use Hallucinated Phoenixes to scout out an early Spire, or some kind of fast, Hydra all-in, anything like that. I can scout it easily in time, very, very early. And you want to use that hallucination to scout out a lot, because you're going to have these full energy sentries, because you get them so early, and you do want to use up, make those sentries worthwhile by using hallucination whenever you can. So I do my Forge up, and I'm going to get +1 ground attack very shortly. And there's my 4th gateway going down. Lately I've actually been trying out Axelov's build, which is pretty much, it's pretty standard, but he eschews the 4th gateway and goes for a robo after the 3 gates. And I actually really like that, because it gets your Colossus up faster, and a lot of Zergs are getting Hydras quicker now, to take advantage of the fact that your Colossus can be a little bit late. And once you get that first Colossus out, you're pretty safe to expand anyway, so I think that just cutting out that 4th gateway is actually pretty nice. Now I do see the 2 Evo chambers and nothing but a Roach Warren, and it makes me feel fairly safe right now. Look at this. I'm in terrific shape, I think. And there's my +1 ground attack getting chrono boosted. And the robo back. Now I do have this cannon up because if the Zerg decided to attack here with these Burrowed Roaches and I didn't have a cannon, I would be in some serious trouble. And PTZR Shuffle is having very little luck with these changelings. I'm just going to kill it because I only have 1 zealot, and I know I only have 1 zealot. So a changeling, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have 2 zealots. What's this? Doesn't look right. So at this point in the game, I'm checking for the Zerg's 3rd, which I figure ought to be here, and I checked here. But he actually did a little ninja 3rd down here, which is pretty smart. And here's a Hydra Den, I did see that. But that's pretty normal time for a Hydra Den. And, my Robo's out, my Robotics Bay is on the way. I'm fairly safe against Hydras. One thing I wish that Shuffle would be doing is creep spread, just a little more, or at all, really. But if you look at the drone count, well, it's 49 to 56. He could, he's under no pressure. He should probably be droning, just a little. But he does have an excellent Overlord spread. He's got vision all over the middle of his map. And he's got speed overlords to run in and check out what's going on. I'm currently boosting that armor level 1. And I'm going to start that Colossus as soon as I have 200 gas. So very shortly. I'm going to move to take this 3rd. The timing for your 3rd base in PvZ I've found is generally right when this Colossus is out. Like right when it pops, that's when your 3rd should get built, pretty much. It works pretty well. Oh, and I am making an Immortal because I saw a lot of roaches. Immortals are really, really good against roaches. No question about that. So I've destroyed my destructible rocks, and I'm going to plant my third base shortly. I do want defenses at that third, but perhaps I could have put the Nexus down first, and whatever. Nexus, come on probe, come on probe. Come on, 130 APM, you could put a Nexus down. Alright, well here's my Colossus on the way. It's almost out. And Zerg, looks like he might want to move out. Still no creep spread, which is very concerning to me. And Zerg's still making units, so I'm getting ahead in the army right now. I'm going to lose this probe, unfortunately. So my first Colossus is out, and the Nexus has started. Could have started a little earlier, but, you know, I think it's fine. And at this point, my 1-1 is finished, and Zerg is only a little ahead of me, because he does have those 2 Evo chambers. But, you know, with Chrono Boost, you can usually approximately keep pace with the Zerg upgrades. You don't fall too far behind, and I'm just going to put down a Twilight pretty shortly. And Zerg is moving out with a Roach, Ling, Force, and a couple Hydras. That's a good number of Roaches. If we look at the army, Zerg is actually pretty far ahead. So let's see how I can hold this off. He's going for the third. He's going for the third, but I've got 3 cannons there. He's going to turn around, and here comes the engagement. Now here's the key. Force field the army away from you. Pretty much everything in your army has higher range than anything in the Zerg army, except maybe Hydras, but you know, the Roaches just have terrible range, and if you force field them away, then you have units firing at them, you've got Colossus firing at them, and they're just not doing anything. Got a couple of Roaches poking at me, but you know, other than that, I've got so much army that is attacking him, and with those Colossus doing the splash damage, he is forced to retreat, but he's going to poke a little bit more. This Colossus is getting out of position, going to have to fall back. We're going to pull him back there. He really wants to snipe that Colossus, but I'm not going to let him. Force fielding off the army again, cutting it in half, and at this point, Zerg's army has just been whittled down into nothing. So you can see that I've clearly repelled this attack. Fortunately, Zerg was not reinforcing yet. He's getting Carapace 2, I'm getting Armor 2, so you know, we're in pretty good shape here, both of us. Going to send these probes over to my third, and if you look at the worker count, I'm really far ahead, 69, to 53, and yeah, there's my Twilight done. Getting that Armor. Am I getting Armor 3? I should really be getting Weapons 2. Yeah, I'm getting Armor 2, I think. I should get Weapons 2. Weapons is superior against Zerg. For the reasons I just outlined, because you have force fields, you're actually not taking that much damage anyway, so armor is not that important. You want to be doing more damage. And as soon as I take my third, I do need to throw down more gateways to spend this extra 1,800 income. Pretty good. And now that I've got 3 Colossus, that's actually a perfect number. And I do want to move out. Got 6 pretty much full energy sentries, not entirely full, but pretty good. And oh, my money's getting super high. That's problematic. So at this point, I'm just kind of shark moding around, clearing out watchtowers, and I want to attack here and then just pull back. Just pull back. Stop spazzing out. This guy, look at his legs. Alright, they're going nuts. Yeah, now I'm just going to pull back. Because what the Zerg really likes to do, and this has been killing me a lot lately, is as soon as they spot you within range of their watchtower, they'll do like a Nidus or a Hydra drop back here. Something annoying like that. So I like to just clear, move forward, clear watchtower, kill an overlord, then just pull right back. They just look at my army, they make some units, they might try to attack, a harassment, and this lets me defend that. And if they don't, then I know that they're not waiting for it, and that gives me more security. And now I am making a dark shrine. Where is it? There it is, back there. Getting close to max. Throwing down a few more gateways because I do have a good number of amount of money. Getting Blink. Very good follow-up because Zerg is going to be going for Broodlords eventually once this hive finishes. So, you know, that's pretty good. And I'm going to attack here. Corrupt is getting a little out of position, but I don't have Blink yet, so I can't snipe them. And quickly, I am taking my 4th base, which actually means that I'm basically even with the Zerg base count right now. And I've got to really watch out here because this, I'm going to pause it right here because this is so important to note. And this has been losing me a lot of games. Engagement location. When you're the Protoss, you do not want to engage in this big open field where the Zerg can get a huge concave on your army. And when they get this concave, it means that they're less clustered up. They're doing more damage because there's more Zerg units in the front lines, and they're less squished together, which means that fewer of them are in the back doing nothing. So more units are firing at you, and you know you're taking the full damage, and you can't just block them all out with force fields because you need too many force fields to do that. And you can tell I'm already losing this battle horribly. Yeah, he is winning this battle, and I've got to retreat. I should have retreated long ago. And now that I'm in a little bit of a better choke point, I can throw down those force fields just a little bit. Those Stalkers getting out of position, have to pull back. This Colossus is even a little bit too slow for the Roaches. He will pick that one off, and I have to retreat back to this high ground choke point, and where I conveniently have a bunch of cannons. And you can tell also, during that battle, all my sentries were killed. And that is actually that's game losing. When you lose your sentries, you need to rebuild them. And I will eventually, but right now I'm just taking advantage of my superior positioning. I've got this ramp, I've got the high ground, I've got just a better position. That's, you know, Colossus, Blink Stalker, a little Blink Micro there, just a little fancy control to avoid losing too many Stalkers. And you can see the Zerg is now ahead of me. We're about even on workers, and we're even on bases, even though I don't have my 4th saturated yet. So I'm, you know, in pretty good shape economically, but I've got to be remaking my army. And here's the start of the Dark Templar harassment. And I, you know, could have been starting this a little earlier, but, you know, Dark Templar harassment late game is just so powerful in every matchup, except maybe PvP, but you don't, that doesn't have a late game. So anyway, but yeah, you want to gain a little bit of map control, you want to kill some drones, do whatever you can. And in the meantime, you can macro back up. I've remade some of these sentries, I need to make more. And it's tough remaking sentries when you're the Protoss because you are using that gas so much. So I'm going to be killing off some drones here. This guy's got 3 kills so far. Going after that Queen. Queen is so important to kill. Die, Queen. Stop running. You can't escape when you're off creep. Speaking of which, shuffle. You really need to lay some creep tumors, dude. Like, this is just painful. Okay, so worker count, we are 63 to 85. I'm actually making maybe too many workers, but whatever. And, okay, these guys are idle. So I have remade my death ball here. I've got back my, well, only 3 sentries, but I could definitely have more. And I'm just going to be moving out, clearing watchtowers yet again. Just doing a little bit of poking. And the thing is, in PvZ, you know, a lot of stress has been put on the shark moding, where you know, threaten the Zerg and then pull back in order to induce him to make units and hurt his economy. And this is definitely true. But at the same time, you know, I'm not really doing that to much of an extent in this game. You don't necessarily have to. I mean, at least at lower levels, it's not like a huge deal, because as long as you can survive until you are maxed with a 4-base economy, then it doesn't matter what the Zerg's economy is at that point. It's only really a problem if he gets that, you know, really good economy and maxes out a lot faster than you do. But anyway, here is the engagement. Again, Zerg has a great concave. I've got to pull back here, and I will indeed retreat. And now that I have a much better engagement location, these corruptors getting, you know, just sitting right over the stalkers. I've got to force field again. Do I have any sentries? No, I'm out of sentries. And this is actually a pretty bad engagement for me. Look at this. He killed all my Colossus. All I've got are stalkers left against Hydras and Roaches. He's using corruption on those stalkers, making them die a lot faster. And this is actually pretty tough, but I do have a good high ground advantage. And yeah, the Zerg is making headway on this army. And finally my Colossus come out. I'm going to blink to safety and keep some of those stalkers alive. And the Colossus will clean up. And meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and kill some of those corruptors. With blink, you can chase them down. They won't be able to do a whole lot. So, you know, late game PvZ, you know, we're getting those +3 upgrades, getting those Dark Templar, transferring workers from the gas, and you know, I'm on a 4th base. My natural's actually drying up, and I've got to take a 5th base if I want to maintain a 3-base economy, which is this 2,000 mineral income, 800 gas income. That's about the max that you can have. And you want to maintain, you want to get to that income as quickly as you can, and you want to maintain it for as long as you can, which means you've got to be aggressively expanding in this. I guess you could say this is mid-game, because it's not really late game, at least on a big map like this. You know, when it's late game when the 5th base is like the last base on the map for each player, but still, I'm actually, you know, keeping pace with the Zerg and bases, which is actually keeping me ahead, because Zerg wants a better economy, because their units are so cost inefficient. Now, I am remaking those sentries. Very important to do. You need force fields to win, unless you just have a really good choke point. And even then, the Zerg can just rush in and get all those roaches firing at you at once. And finally, I am going to attack, well, I'm going to move out a little bit, clear more watchtowers. Just let them see my army. Zerg did stop at 61 drones, which is hurting him quite a bit, actually. So, you know, along with creep spread, I would suggest to shuffle to make more drones, especially because I barely ever threatened him in this game. Like, even right now, he has pretty much been engaging me. So I do have this 5th base out, and there's no need for me to attack here. I'm just going to sort of poke around the map. I want to stay safe from any counterattacks. That's really the big threat to me. Waiting for +3 attack to finish. I'm going to keep on killing stuff, get this Overlord. Blinking may be a little excessive, and I might have just targeted something. Hope I didn't kill my own stalker there, but whatever. And, you know, ideally I would be scouting around here with Dark Templar, trying to kill hatches. That's something I didn't quite get around to. And here's another engagement. I am hugging this wall here, and you can see that now with these force fields, and with this wall over here, I can get a pretty good surface area. Gonna use Guardian Shield. Actually moving in here was a mistake, because it lets more of his units fire at mine. So not that big a deal. And now I'm going to use, I should be using my stalkers to target fire those corruptors, and I will be doing that in just a second. Instead, I'm just running away with this Colossus so that the stalkers can kill it. But once the Colossus is dead, my stalkers actually, I have enough of them left over that I can basically mop this up. And he, overmade corruptors just a little bit. He has about 10 of them after the battle's finished, and I've got the 22 stalkers here. I'm doing a pretty good job. Now I'm just going to kill free corruptors. Hey, awesome. Free money that I kill. Hooray. And I should probably, I could blink in and just try and kill this, but I actually don't need to. I'm reinforcing and building more colossi. I should have like another Robo Bay, I think, at this point. I need more gas income here. That would be nice. You can actually have a higher gas income than just 800. But anyway, I've got pretty much a pure stalker force out right now, and my economy is actually better than his, which means that at the moment I can actually replenish my army faster than the Zerg can. This is really bad though. He has a great service area, a lot of roaches out right now, and I do have to retreat. Only one sentry left. I've got to be remaking those, and I'm sure I will soon. Wow, this gas actually dried up. That's pretty quick, huh? Okay, anyway. So, rejoining all my army together. I don't necessarily want to hang out right here in this open area because, again, very open space. You don't want to engage the Zerg there. It's pretty bad. So I do want to hug these walls as much as possible. Retreat if the Zerg is going to be, getting all up in my grill. And, yeah, here comes some more Hydras. And the thing with the Zerg is when they overmake these corruptors and then you kill a bunch of them after a battle, they often just don't remake them. They just forget. And it's pretty nice of them to do that. Now notice I'm not engaging with a sentry. I've got enough for, 2 force fields. So that's pretty bad. And I can't really fight the Zerg army head on right now. He has a pretty good army, and if we engage like up here, he has a great surface area. I won't be able to force field much. What am I doing? Get some free drone kills there. That's pretty nice. Okay, so I'm maxing out with a bunch of stalkers again, actually, which is not bad. But I do want more sentries in the future. So, yep, here comes the attack. I've got a ton of stalkers, and the army is a little bit in my favor, not a whole lot. And he is morphing in these broodlords. And, broodlords are the ideal late game for the Zerg, and this, yeah, they are starting to rain down the broodlings into my army, which is pretty damaging. Fortunately, his ground army is almost entirely finished, and once it is, I can actually use these stalkers to counter the broodlords, as you will see in just a moment. And here we go, blink underneath, target fire these broodlords. And, the Colossus are not really taking any damage. But I actually did not notice that he had, 4 more broodlords above the army, and he is going to actually succeed and chase us back. And, those 4 broodlords, that's pretty powerful. I do have to retreat. A lot of Protosses lose games because they're, suddenly run into like 8 or 10 broodlords, and that's really hard, even for blink stalkers to deal with. And at this point, I think in the game, I ought to be putting down a Stargate someplace. I don't see one. But, when it gets to this late game, the Zerg can start tech switching between Ultras and Broodlords, and Ultras own everything in this army, and for me to counter them, I do have to start making Zealots and Immortals, in which case the Broodlords are really, really strong. So, I think that that's an ideal late game situation for the Zerg to be in, but getting there is certainly very difficult. And you can see he's pretty much just making Hydras and Broodlords, and the Hydras, meant to counter those Stalkers, which is pretty smart. The thing of it is, though, when I do blink these Stalkers in to kill those Broodlords, while the Hydras are killing the Stalkers, my Colossus are killing the Hydras a lot faster. So, because all the Corruptors are turned into Broodlords, there's nothing attacking my Colossi. And in any case, I am going to be... I see this army moving out this way. I saw this on the mini-map, and it was heading toward my main base, so I am going to be pulling back to intercept it. Really important thing. You gotta watch that mini-map, okay? And that's because I have the stalker on this watchtower, by the way. So here he is. I am going to intercept this army. I have a really nice concave, and Dark Templar should be getting into this fight, but they really don't. Having Dark Templar in your army is so good. I mean, yeah, he had this guy here, but it's not a big deal. So I'm going to focus down those broods, and at this point he's got very, very little. Still has only 57 drones. I forget if I've been killing drones with Dark Templar any time, but no, I guess I haven't been. I should have been. I deeply regret not using Dark Templars more as harassment in this game, in particular, but I'm attacking with like half my army here. Oh, gonna pull back and make sure I've got it all. I just want to constantly kind of remax and then wash against the Zerg army and then pull back and remax, which is actually what the Zerg wants to do to me. But my army, as long as I engage in the right spot, like here or something, I use force fields well, I get good positioning, I micro properly, my army is going to be so much more cost efficient that against what the Zerg has, it's going to be very difficult. Even, you know, with inferior numbers, although I happen to have much superior numbers in this case. So you can see the army supply. Now he does have a pretty good concave here. Well, not ideal, I guess, but I actually just have so much stuff that it's not that big a deal. I've got 4 Colossus in these, only now making Corruptors. And now the Dark Templar are going to work in this army. He has no detection anywhere nearby, and there's a GG, well played. And yeah, eventually my army is just so big that I just crush his and I can move straight into the Zerg's base. I'm just taking more bases. As you're doing all this stuff in the middle that I was pointing out, you've got to just keep expanding. This is something that I have been failing to do for a while, and maybe you're failing to do it as well, is maybe you can get up to that 3 bases and even do it pretty quickly like I did with you know, timing it out so that right when your Colossus pops, you take a 3rd. That's great. Maybe you can do that perfectly. Maybe you can micro or macro everything great, you get all the gateways you need off of 3 bases. You're doing fine. But then your main dries up and you don't have a 4th. Your natural dries up, you don't have a 4th. 3rd dries up, you're dead. Meanwhile, the Zerg is just taking the map. So, you know, as soon as your main starts to dry up, you got to have this 4th base up. When the natural is getting low, you should have this 5th base up. Just keep expanding and transferring probes so that you maintain that 3 base, 2,000 mineral, 800 gas economy. That is what you want, and you can actually have more gas than that because you're going to have more bases than just 3. But in terms of, you know, probes mining minerals, you're going to have 3 bases worth. Yeah, so that's about it, I guess. Protoss versus Zerg. A lot of Zergs are complaining about this matchup. To be honest, doing this kind of standard style, Zerg can win if they macro well and make the perfect number of Corruptors, and you know, it's not impossible, but I can see why it would be a little difficult. And for the Protoss as well, if the Protoss sort of turtles and just has good force fields and engages right, he can win most of the battles. So the thing that gives me the most trouble as Protoss is definitely more unorthodox styles, stuff like Banelings. That's really strong right now. Stuff like early aggression. You know, there's a really good Roach or Hydra timing attack when you do that 3-gate expansion, where you only have like a couple sentries and a Zealot, maybe 2 Stalkers, and they hit you with like 20 Roaches. That's almost impossible to deal with. And you can use opportunities like that if you're a Zerg player to take another base and inflict a lot of damage. Also stuff like drops. You know, you can attack the front and then drop Hydras in the back. Anything like that is taking advantage of the Protos's immobility and taking advantage of the Protos's passivity. So stuff like that does give Protoss a hard time, and I think the more aggressive styles like that is something that you should experiment more with if you're having a hard time with this matchup. And even Mutaling, it is vulnerable to timing attacks, but if you can get those mutas out, that's just sick good. And that's something I really recommend, even though I hate playing against it, which is, you know, a pretty good endorsement, I would say, for the strategy. So, yeah, I guess that's all I've got to say. I hope you enjoyed this Protoss versus Zerg matchup and learned maybe a little something. So, yeah.